Here.
Mr. Bider,
Here.
Duncan,
Here.
Mr. Batolo,
Here.
and Chairman Gray.
Here. All right, everybody had a chance to review the agenda. The special meeting, I don't think we can add to it. So, with that, I'll entertain a motion to accept the agenda as presented.
A motion. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Okay. Communications, correspondence, public comment? None?
None.
Okay, board action, approval for the bid of the scoreboard for the Rock Springs High School Stadium. That be Tom or
Dan.
Dan?
Yeah. Actually, we had the bid yesterday, and I couldn't attend because I was at another meeting. So Mark, Scott, and who else was there?
Yeah, her name was Jennifer. She's a gal out of our office.
Okay, they did the bid opening. Leading up to the bids, we had it advertised in the Casper Tribune as per state statute. It meets the requirements for a statewide circulated newspaper. We did have another company, Brock LLC, did call. They received their packet for the specifications. But one thing that I just neglected was Thursday was a holiday for the district because we're normally off Friday. So we sent out an addendum stating that we would open the bids on Monday morning at 10 o'clock. At 10 o'clock, Scott had called over the warehouse. We had not received any bids. So we went ahead and they went ahead and did their opening. At 10:30, 10:36, I believe, to be exact on the timestamp, we did receive a bid. That was followed up by an email from the gentleman from Brock LLC wondering if we would make consideration since it was a holiday and everything. We had a couple email exchanges but ultimately I told them no. I've been doing this for school districts for well over 20 years. And the other company made the deadline. He had the information and plenty of time to put a packet together. It wasn't our responsibility that he got it out Thursday afternoon by his own admission, and it was delivered Friday, which was the holiday. But FedEx couldn't get it to us. So that discarded his bid. We, as per state statute, didn't even open the bid. In fact, we're not allowed to open the bids if they're disqualified. So his bid packet has remained closed. And we just went ahead and I reviewed, since I wasn't at the bid opening, I did review the contract documents. The contract documents were the HELLA specifications that all of us have already reviewed. Their prices is exactly where they were saying that they were going to be. So at this point, I would say I would recommend that we accept their bid. I do need to provide a word of caution. Scott and I just had this conversation. If anybody calls me wanting information on the bid by state statute, I cannot give them any information on the bid until the bids have been signed. The bid and the contracts won't be signed until our school board gives their okay. And that's state statute. We go through this on every major project. People want to call up and they want to see what the bid tally is, and we cannot divulge that bid tally even until afterwards. So if any of you folks get a phone call from Brock LLC, that's state statute. We cannot tell them what the bid results were until our school board has given us the okay and somebody here signs off on the contract. As far as their contract, I looked through their contract. They will have to sign a state contract. What we do is, even though it's a school rec board, we still have to comply with state statute. So in the next couple days prior to our board meeting, I will go through and I will fill out. What we do is we use the state statute or the state's templates and we modify them for us. Then that way it's consistent with every contract that we send out. Other than that, I see no reason to as far as from the bid process and everything, we're good to go.
So we can honestly say we haven't given anybody else any different leeway in bid openings and let them open up late?
Absolutely. And in 6 years that I have been here, in fact, in almost 20 years that I have done bids for this district and other districts. I have never, ever allowed and given an allowance. And I've been in meetings where it wasn't me running it, it was the state. And in fact, Mark and I have talked about this. I was in a meeting where our project manager, we received a bid packet for a school renovation of a building, 10 minutes late. Does not qualify and therefore is disqualified.
All right.
As Dan said, Scott and I were at the bid opening. Daktronics did send it UPS and FedEx, both, so that they made sure they got it to us in time. And I do believe it was here on last week, right, Scott? Theirs were here last week.
Yeah, that should be noted on their envelope. I don't know the exact date.
Yeah, on 6/30, they were received, both of them.
So it's ended in.
So we did all the advertising on the bids and stuff to where but we only had 2 people that were interested.
Correct. Yeah, and the total bid price was $382,475.
Did we get anywhere with Pepsi?
I don't have any other information from our last meeting that I shared, so no, I don't.
So are we still required to have Pepsi part of the scoreboard with the contract that you're currently still under?
Yes, currently at this point, we're still under contract with Pepsi until 2022 in April. And so we appreciate that and we'll follow through on that contract as we work with them. Yes, but there is nothing moving forward after that.
I've also looked into the fact with the new board, and Tom can attest to this. I've talked to Daktronics. There is a section on the board where Tom's going to do advertisements. He's got like 4 of them. One of those would have to probably be designated for Pepsi for the remainder of the 2-year contract that we have with them.
I think that was the one you brought up the last time that showed the different places you can do that, both electronically and
Yep.
physical.
So it's got a screen that is set up where it has certain size windows that you can go ahead and adjust, and you can actually move them along the video screen, and you can adjust them by size. So we can have some that are bigger and smaller than others. And since we're still in agreement with the Pepsi contract, we would definitely have one of those windows, make it one of the bigger windows because they're a major contributor for that, and have Pepsi on there. That's what we would do.
Okay.
Would that still comply with the terms of the contract?
I think what would make me feel more comfortable with that is to go back through that contract, make sure that we do justice in what we agreed to because it's the right thing to do. And then if this is the direction the rec board would choose to go, then we can make sure we honor those pieces within that contract. So we do right for our community. They've been very good to the district and we want to make sure we honor that.
And Scott, for clarity, the sign right now is one that has Pepsi on it and it's on there all the time. And so that's what we would make sure that we do with this particular scoreboard, is it would be on there every time.
But it's something that can be changed out.
Yep, yeah. It's just simple to design and implement a little image and poof, there it is. So it's pretty fancy. We will not require a lift to make the change.
Mr. Gray, if you don't mind, just a quick thought too on whatever is the pleasure of this board. I think it's important. We've had Zach with us because we appreciate his expertise in helping us get our meetings up and running. But I also think whichever way this would go, it's important to involve Stephanie Tolman as our Chief Information Officer and with Zach and her department, just that way they're informed about what's coming in. And I know, Dan, you do that regularly on whatever the projects are, but I think that's important to say specifically just on the technology pieces. I know it would have warranty and all those kind of things, but just making sure that the left hand knows what the right hand is doing, that it's coming, because there always seems to be implications on other things. And it's important just to make sure all the departments are on the same page.
Would this require that, be tying on to the school's network,
Dan.
or would this be a separate network itself?
This board does have a capability of being connected to the internet. Now, that's totally up to the end user, and what they want to use it for. But it is pretty high technology, going through the bids and the specs, so I think the tech department really does need to be involved. Probably clear from the beginning of installation, clear on through.
So that would be you and Dan making sure that
Yeah,
happens?
and working with Stephanie and her group.
All right, anybody else have any more discussion they would like to discuss about the bid?
Yeah, Dan, just out of curiosity, what's the warranty look like on this board?
You know, I'm thinking that we paid for an additional warranty on it. It's, for the actual warranty, yeah, we have 1-year warranty. We purchased a 5-year warranty, so, 6 years.
Okay, all right, very good. And also, since we only received one bid, there are other additional hoops that we have to go through, but I think that you've hit on most of those. One of them is that the vendors had adequate time to prepare and submit bids, and, that was advertised twice, right? And we did receive one at the end of
Right,
June anyway, so.
And to make sure, I did call Brandon Finney, who is the administrator for the SCD, just to get, make sure that, because things have changed. It used to be, you had to advertise 3 times over a period of so many working days. And he says, if you advertise twice within 10 days, you're good. And that's what
Okay. And another criteria is that the bid amount is reasonable and within the budget, so it's within our budget. Do you think it's a reasonable price?
I do. That's a pretty fancy board. It's state of the art. You can't, nothing's cheap anymore. 300, almost $400,000 is more than likely where it should be. I think back when I purchased, the Evanston scoreboard, mounting it and everything was over $700,000 when it was all said and done.
So is this, did we have to do any changes to the base and the foundation for it?
So there is some requirements that need to be changed on the scoreboard mount itself or the poles. But this bid includes them taking
Mhm.
care of.
And they use the same engineer that we use.
Yeah.
For the structural.
And did we go through the conduit phase and making sure that we had enough room and enough power?
We actually had, Dan and I got together
Mhm.
before all this track and this demo got started. We decided to add the 2 2-inch conduits run through the track and the D zone. So anticipating this board going in. And it's kind of a good thing we did because the contractor ripped up the wires and the data from the old board. So,
We might end up with free.
Yeah.
they're having to.
That
pay
never
for it.
happens, even when it's marked.
So that's getting covered and the new wires will be run even before the board gets here.
That's enough with two 2-inch?
Yeah.
Has enough capability to?
Yeah.
What about for expansion?
So their 1 2-inch conduit's gonna have a fiber optic line and 2 speaker wires. And that's what runs the board. The other one's gonna have the 4 wires for power. And that's it. So there is capability of adding if need be. But that whole board's run on fiber optic.
And honestly, Leo, as you know, unless they double the size, which we can't do, it seems like appliances start consuming less power than they do more. So I think we're probably pretty good for our lifetime.
All right, any more discussion or questions?
Yeah, we got one more for Dan. What does the delivery time look like and? Or do you mean-
I talked to him today, because one of the things that he wanted to do is, in fact, he even sent me letters of intention that we could sign and send off. After reviewing the letters of intention, all we gain is a week's time. And honestly, I would advise against it because all that does is it encumbers this district to pay for something should things go wrong. Alls we would gain is a couple of days. Our next school board meeting is Wednesday. So I mean, we
Just
gain.
tomorrow?
The
No,
15th.
Yeah, next week. But talking to him, he thought that, and you were, because you had him on speakerphone, he thinks that will probably be done mid to the end of August.
It's a 7-day build time from the
Yeah.
minute they order
Oh, okay.
to build it, and then it has to be delivered here, and then, of course, installation, stuff like that.
He's using mostly local laborers. We gave him this, Bunnings, Mark had Bunnings contact information, and, so we sent him Bunnings contact information for the crane. We mentioned the electricians that we use, so it's not like we're waiting for crews to come in. I think the guys that we've been using as far as contractors would get on it. The welder he's set, ready to go as soon as we need him. And he's
So-
done an awful lot of work for this district. He did all the railing up, above the concession stand, and he did a bunch of the railings, in the Tiger Arena.
So do we have, are we gonna run into any issues of access while the track and the field's going in? I
Well,
mean, I'd hate to run a crane across a brand new track
Oh,
and
no.
destroy it.
yeah, no, I see what you're saying. What was very specific, I gave him specific instructions. I told him to get with whoever he goes with a crane. He was, I don't know if you know, we're doing a bunch of rooftop units over at changing out some heavy-duty rooftop units up at the high school. Bunnings sent a crane up there. One of the concerns was, could that crane, how close can he get? And I had walked the site, and there's an area down there we may have to take, it's behind the tennis courts. We may have to take a portion of the fence down so that the crane can run through there. And once before, they ran some heavy-duty equipment over there, and it sunk into the ground, put big ruts, but I'm sure it's because they were watering the heck out of the lawn. So if they schedule it correctly, properly with us, we can shut the water off 2 weeks ahead of time with our winds and our heat. It'll dry up harder than heck. And then they can run the crane. We may have to redo that discus area, but they can get pretty darn close and make a pick. And I told him I'd send him pictures, or I would suggest that he brings the crane. But if they make the pick from that location, they will not have to go on the track. So, and we can't let anybody on the track anyway, and it is a good location to make a pick.
I just wanted to make sure that we had
Yeah, no,
access
we
before.
thought about that. And,
And the phone call that we had with Daktronics, Dan and I brought that up to them, that they will not be able to
yeah,
get on the track or the field at all once it's installed.
Yep.
So they're wanting to get in there, and probably once this all gets approved and we start moving forward, so after our school board meeting next week, start looking at maybe having the old board taken off. They talked to, that company about reinforcing them.
yeah, Kay Dunford.
He was up here last Thursday
Uh-huh.
and looked at the project. So he's got the plans, he's ready to move forward once we get that okayed and the board's taken off. All that can happen with the track once it's in place without the rubber on top.
So what are you gonna do with the old board?
You want it? We deliver it to
Well,
your
no,
house.
I mean, with the track capabilities, it might be nice to have the junior high have access to it.
That's a separate piece on the bottom of that board
Yeah.
that might be able to be taken to that. Because they're both electronic boards.
Yeah.
So that's a good idea. That
Take it
bottom
down,
piece.
maybe refurbish it. What brand is that, Mark?
It's electronics.
Maybe we can send it in, see if they could refurbish it too.
Gonna be eventually moving on to this side of town.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's bigger
Great
than the
option.
one at the junior high. Then we might be looking at structure capability too. So.
Well, we would investigate before we did anything.
We'll hold up to our Wyoming wind.
They say it will. We did tell them that this whole thing had to have a Wyoming engineer stamp on it. Honestly, this has been the most vetted project I think I've been on in a long time. We checked for the power. We made sure that we did the power prior to. We went down, investigated the site for, making a decent pick without getting close to our track. And that was a big question about the wind. So they assure us that the final
Mhm.
plans will have a Wyoming engineer stamp on it. Other than that, there's not a whole lot more I can do about that. I mean, so I'm assuming that if they follow all the protocols, that it will withstand our Wyoming, Rock Springs, wind.
Also, other than the 2 feet for the speaker on the top and the center, the board's the exact same size as the one we have now. So as far as wind goes, it's gonna be the same size sail, other than the 2 feet
Yeah.
speaker above in the middle.
Okay, cool. Well, any more discussion or questions? John, do you have anything?
No, thank you for all that work, though.
All right, with that, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve scoreboard.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Got a first and a second, a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carried. Okay, we'll move on to next meeting will be July 15th. We're gonna have another one next week?
Only because we have to. Just so you know, it's for the budget, so we can move forward for the next year.
Okay. Anything else anybody need to bring up or discuss?
You know, I'd like to bring up one thing. We're having some issues with the gym floor at Stagecoach. We're looking at getting some bids to do some different things there. It's ripping right down the center and opening up. Dan and I've looked at it. We've talked to a contractor to repair it, and the cost to just repair it is outrageous compared to possibly looking at changing the floor out to something more feasible that will move with the movement we've got going there. So we're kind of,
We got some clay going on, expansion going on,
Yeah, it's clay and water, because
water.
water in the expansive soils. Yeah, they're not coming through, but they're enough where Mark pointed me, you know, we've been over there taking pictures of it. And when we first became aware of it from the principal, I went over there and Mark had gone over there too, and I had taken pictures. In the pictures, they actually showed maybe in some areas as much as an inch to 3/4 of an inch, you know, separation. And
Really?
now Mark showed me pictures. He was up there today, and it's in some areas less than half an inch. So I'm almost positive, and we've got the same thing going on in the parking lot too. I'm positive that when they did that school, they put native soil back in, and there must be, you know, with a, you know, a little bit of spring water or something underneath there that's comes through in the late winter with the spring, you know, with our thaw, and it moves that floor enough that it actually expands, so that tartan type coating that we have, it's never gonna hold up. It'd be nice to have something that floats on top.
There, no warranty at all?
not for building movement like that, no. There is a warranty for 5 years for the actual structure, you know, the stability of the apartment floor, but
And-
not
and-
for something like this.
And that's on the product. Now, to go further into your question is some of the repairs that I am making, we're logging. And I have hired a geo company, you know, to do a geo study on that whole area. And we did cores, and we're gonna compare the cores to what the specifications were. If the cores show that they didn't do what they were supposed to do, the warranty may come under, you know, legal action. So that's, I mean, that's kind of where we're at right now.
That is one of the major gyms that's used for, you know, the City League basketball. And it's also got some enhancement, so this board paid for part of that gym. So I'm believing we're gonna need to probably pay for part of that gym floor replacement.
But you're not looking at repairing it till next year, correct?
I don't think it can be, the prices that we got to repair were almost as much as what we can do to cover it. And if the one product that, well, there's like 2 or 3 products that Mark has been looking at, if they don't have to actually remove the old floor and they're checking the warranties with the manufacturer warranty, it would be cheaper to recover it with a floating system than it would be to try to repair it. The repair was over $40,000.
Yeah,
So that have to be put into budget next year, or is it too late?
Well, it's already been published, but there is a discretionary line item that could come out of
that would be something we will know something next week.
Yeah, I should have complete bids hopefully by next week. So we have an idea what the cost is gonna be. Dan can put numbers together from his end, and then see what, what percentage we probably should be putting in, and we should have more, better idea of where we're at.
You know me, Leo, I'm a 60-40 kind of guy.
All right, anything else anybody needs to discuss? Not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
A motion?
Second.
All right, motion to adjourn the meeting at 7:00. Be good, half an hour. Thanks for coming.
Thanks.